Hello and welcome. I'm Asuma Katauka and you are watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top stories. President Donald Trump has urged Israel to stop bombing Gaza, stating that Hamas is ready for peace and has accepted key elements of his plan, including ceasefire, Israeli withdrawal, hostage exchanges, and reconstruction aid, according to media reports, while President Trump warned of consequences if Hamas had rejected the proposal. Czechs voted in a general election with billionaire Andrej Babis leading polls with over 30% support, threatening to shift the country closer to EU's Hungary and Slovakia by halting military aid to Ukraine. Prime Minister Peter Fiala has warned the vote could decide Czech Republic's future alignment, while concerns grow over far-right SPD's rising influence. Gaza's civil defense has reported dozens of airstrikes and artillery shelling on Gaza City today, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's appeal to halt bombardments. Simultaneously, an Israeli hostage forum has urged Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to begin talks on implementing Trump's Gaza peace plan. Sanae Takaichi has won Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party leadership, positioning her to become the country's first women prime minister. The 64-year-old conservative defeated 44-year-old Shinjiro Koizumi in a runoff and now will face challenges including an aging population, geopolitical tensions, and immigration issues, while trying to revive the LDP after it lost majorities in both houses. Russian forces have damaged production sites in Ukraine's Kharkiv and Poltava regions. While Ukrainian drones targeted a Russian oil refinery, the head of the IAEA has called for political will from both Ukraine and Russia to restore power to the Russian-held Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Europe's largest has been without external power since September 23rd. The death toll from the Indonesian boarding school collapse has risen to 14 pupils, with nearly 60 students still trapped under the rubble. As rescuers deploy cranes and sensors to continue the search, the tragedy occurred during afternoon prayers on Monday, affecting mainly teenage boys. Hamas is ready for immediate talks to end the Gaza war and has agreed to release hostages under a US-backed plan already accepted by Israel, though key issues like disarmament remain unresolved. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has confirmed preparations for the immediate implementation of the first stage of peace plan. Munich airport was shut down for the second consecutive day due to drone sightings, affecting over 6,500 passengers and causing flight cancellations and delays, which has now reopened, according to media reports. Now we move on. Families of Israeli hostages held in Gaza have called for an immediate end to the ongoing conflict, describing it as an essential step to prevent irreversible harm to their loved ones. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum urged Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to initiate swift and effective negotiations aimed at securing the safe return of all hostages. This appeal comes amid continued Israeli bombardment of Gaza, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's call to halt the war. Meanwhile, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has welcomed Hamas's positive response to President Trump's peace proposal, calling it encouraging. She has said that on social media that halting the war in Gaza is now within reach, emphasizing that an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages must be seized as a critical opportunity. Now, for this discussion, we're joined by Ali Muhammad Abushbak. He's an independent Palestinian researcher, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you very much, Ali, for joining us. Very good to see you. Now, Ali, what more can you tell us about this situation? What are the key points which have been agreed, which have not been agreed, and what is going to happen now?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a good day that Hamas' response was positive about the Donald Trump plan. The thing is, Hamas response, it's a bit not clear up to now. Hamas has been accepted to release the hostages, accepted about dealing with technocrat and handover of Gaza. So the thing is now about the significant point about Hamas weapon, about lying down the weapon in Gaza, and also the future of self-determination in Palestine, especially in Gaza. So the thing is, up to now, it's not clear, and they are going to negotiate the significant point between Israel delegation. News reported that there is a delegation going to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt rather than the delegation, Israeli delegation, going to the Doha, Qatar, after the tension between Israel and Qatar after the Israel's bombardment, the Hamas delegation in Qatar. So also the Israel's media news list, they are not optimist about the position of Donald Trump after Hamas acceptance, and they consider it as putting Israel in the hard place, while Hamas is not confirming about lying down its weapon. So also, Osama, the Israelis community, optimist, and Palestinian community from Gaza, the desperate civilians, optimist a lot. But up to now, also during according to the Donald Trump plan, there is a no ensure about the Israelis withdraw from Palestinian land or Gazans. From Gaza City or Gaza Strip. They are going to negotiate about the plan of Israel to withdraw from Gaza. Today morning, Israel have been targeting civilians. They are, after receiving this news, and the ceasefire is going to be applied very soon. They went back to Gaza City, but Israel unfortunately targeted them and left several of civilians have been killed and injured. Also, Usuma, the international community have welcomed Hamas' response as a significant point to reach to ceasefire. Israelis news media, they are confirming Israel is starting to registering and counting the Palestinian prisoner, and they are going to make a list about the Palestinian prisoners who they will going to release. In my opinion, there is still several of things and gap between Hamas and Israel with this regard, and I'm not sure. Maybe there is no any guarantee about after releasing the hostages, the whole hostages from Gaza, around 48 hostages, among of them alive and remain body. Is this plan and the Hamas response going to apply the ceasefire in Gaza or no? There is no guarantee. We have witnessed in mid of January 2024 up to March 2024, Israel have been suddenly resumed the war without any warning and without any violation of war. Of the deal with Israel, and they are holding the negotiation after no one knows why Israel resumed the war. We have several of example about the guarantee with regard this kind of situation. Also, last time the American administration was negotiating with the Iranian regime, and while Israel bombardment the Iranian nuclear power. Also with regard Hezbollah is still, despite there is a ceasefire with Hezbollah, but Israel is still continuously bombardment South Lebanon up to now. Even yesterday there was a bombardment in Lebanon. So the situation is, in my opinion, a bit complicated, despite the positive atmosphere among the Palestinian and the Israeli and the expert. But in my opinion, there is still a huge gap between Israel and Hamas, as well as the international community. Also, here is the significant point about the applying and carrying out this plan, and there is still doubt about who's ruling Gaza. This is about the future of self-determination for Palestinian. Hamas was saying about Palestinian has a right to self-determinate themselves, while Benjamin Netanyahu said, I will not let the Palestinian to establish their statehood. So this is a huge hurdles between both of them. And also the significant point is not explained by Hamas about lying down their weapon and about Israeli security. Here there is there is a no rule for Palestinian Authority as a or a PLO, Palestinian Liberalization Organization, as a significant bodies to represent the Palestinians. That's mean.
Yes.
We are going to, through, fragmentation and separation from West Bank, and there is another body for Palestinian statehood, Gaza and West Bank separated officially or what? I guess the Palestinian function also, all the Palestinian party have been welcomed Hamas response. Hamas has a no doubt for this response, or has no choice for this response. Should be accepted after the worldwide of welcoming this plan. So also Donald Trump yesterday, he called for immediate ceasefire and held that Israel's bombardment in Gaza Strip, but up to now Israel is continuous bombardment Gaza City and several of places and regime in Gaza Strip.
Yes. Thank you, Ali, for sharing that. Please stay with us now. We stay on this topic. Palestinians have expressed hope and relief following U.S. President Donald Trump's call for a halt to the ongoing bombing campaign. President Trump announced that Hamas has shown willingness to negotiate peace, agreeing to release hostages and accept several terms outlined in the U.S. plan aimed at ending this conflict. Let's listen into what some Palestinians have said.
رغم انها خطه يعني جائره على الشعب الفلسطيني وعلى المقاومه في غزه، الا انه يعني احنا الهدف الوحيد ان نخفف عن المدنيين. يعني الآلة العسكريه الاسرائيليه لها اكثر يعني من سنتين وبتضرب في المدنيين. عرفت كيف؟ الصحافه الاسرائيليه بتقول انقلب يعني السعر على السعر، انقلبت الطاوله على الاسرائيليين. اهم شيء اول شيء وقف القتال، مثل ما طلب ترامب، وقف العمليات العسكريه الجويه، وقف القتال يعني، وبعديها التفاوض وبصير خير يعني. بعديها ان شاء الله يخلق الله ما لا تعلمون. ان شاء الله يعني اهم شيء وقف القتال.
اول شيء الله يرفع هالبلاء عن اهل غزه. اهل غزه يعني من المستضعفين في الارض، واي بصيص امل لهالشعب المكلوم هذا نصر. هذا نصر يا راجل، هذا نصر رغم الجراح والآلام. هذا نصر لهم يعني للشعب الغزاوي المكلوم. هو يعني الواحد بلا مؤاخذة لما يشوف اولاده وعيلته كلها تروح بيوم واحد، والله انه هذا الاشي صعب.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has confirmed the preparations for the immediate implementation of the initial phase of this plan, focusing on the release of Israeli hostages. Now, if we go back to our guest discussion with Ali Muhammad Abushbak, he's an independent Palestinian researcher, joins us live from Cairo. Thank you very much, Ali, for staying with us. Now, looking at all this, also yesterday we saw that a Samud flotilla was all intercepted by Israel. What do you think, what key objectives did global Samud flotilla was able to achieve, and what could they not achieve? What do you think?
Some of the things is about the flotilla. I mean, it has a symbolic message for Palestinian, either its reach or no. It has just only message that the public opinion, they are supporting Palestine and supporting the desperate civilians. And we have seen a huge protest that taking to the street in Western country yesterday, and the outrage of the protester to support the flotilla, Samud flotilla, and to support the activists, and condemn the Israelis' response or reaction with regard these activists, the unarmed activists. So the things is here also about the flotilla and about the international support of Palestinians' struggle and Palestinian revolution, resistance against the occupation. Now it's a huge phenomenon, and this is a new phenomenon that has been not presented for a long time. that Palestinians' revolution, it's become a global and become as an issue, as a significant issue for everyone has a conscience in front, I mean, entire this world. I guess now Israel's reputation among the, I mean, in front, I mean, with the Israelis' reputation in the public opinion, I mean, world public opinion, global public opinion have been
And
damaged after the Israelis
yes, Ali,
brutal response against the flotilla and against the civilians, disarmed civilians, activists who's going to, I mean, delivery food and delivery medicine for civilians in Gaza. In my opinion, now Israel in hard place in front of all the international community. I mean, worldwide. So the thing is now Israel in tough exam about applying this or no. But in my, what I believe, Israel has a no audacity, so it doesn't care about the reputation, doesn't care about, I mean, the rule and the morale of international community, about the human rights, about nothing. We have seen the real brutal of Israel with regard the civilians in Gaza, with regard the activists, the flotilla, not only Samud, all the activists entire the world who try and attempt to reach Gaza. We have seen how Israel attack Iran, Lebanon, Syria, and also Qatar nowadays and last time. So the thing is here about wellness,
yes.
and we are talking about Hamas wellness. Hamas have been shown its flexibility with regard the hostages case. We have seen the Al-Iskandar, the American-Israeli soldier, when they are releasing him without to show their willingness for a ceasefire or for a deal or a negotiation with Israel. But also yes. The American administration, they didn't hold and they didn't take this action from Hamas as a serious, and they didn't let or any I mean humanitarian aid to enter to Gaza after releasing the Adi Iskandar from Hamas sides.
Yes, with that I would like to thank Ali Muhammad Abushbak for always joining us and sharing that insight from the Middle East. Now we move on to North America. The federal government has shut down after lawmakers failed to agree on a budget, affecting operations across October and beyond. States including California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington face cuts in federal funding. About 750,000 federal workers, nearly 40% of the workforce, are on unpaid leave, impacting services from air travel to social programs. National parks, research agencies like CDC and NIH, as well as food assistance programs could see interruptions while essential staffs continue unpaid work. White House freezes infrastructure funding, affecting billions worth of projects in Democratic-run states, deepening the economic impact of this shutdown. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Keith Vaz. He's a former UK minister, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Keith, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how does this current budget deadlock reflect ongoing political division in Congress and the prospects for resolution?
Good morning, Asma. Of course, we've had shutdowns before. I think one has to understand that whenever you have a division between the presidency and Congress, this happens on a fairly regular basis. It's not happened for a while, but there's always a degree of brinkmanship between a president and Congress. What is unusual about this, of course, is that the Republicans control both houses and the presidency. So what they need to do in circumstances of this kind is to find enough Democrats who will support them to be able to put this through Congress. And at the moment, there aren't the Democrats there. So what President Trump has decided to do, unlike previous presidents, is to blame it on the other party and therefore target his cuts at that other party. So that is why democratic states have been put in the forefront of any cuts. He's been quite open about saying this gives him an opportunity to, in effect, make major cuts in the way in which things operate in the United States, i.e., let's go for the other party's programs, let's go to the blue states and let's make the cuts there. So this is unusual. No president has been quite so outspoken and partisan as he has been. So that is the problem these states find themselves in. It will be resolved, of course, inevitably, because you can't shut down the US government forever. You have to have it working. So at some stage there will be a compromise. Where it comes from, I don't really know, because you're dealing with some pretty big political figures here.
And what do you think, what will be the main consequences of the federal government shutdown for both Democrats and the Republicans, and also for the reputation of President Trump's administration?
Well, I think in the long run it will have an effect, because the American people will be saying, we've got a president, we've got two houses controlled by the Republicans. We don't understand why they keep blaming the Democrats. So the nuances of the way in which these things are negotiated and passed will be lost on them. I think that it will be resolved. There will be damage. If President Trump can't even run his own country, then other people are going to say, well, what's he trying to do running other countries and interfering in other countries? So it will have a reputational damage. You're quite right, Asma. And in the long run, it will have an effect. But in the short term, it means people are just not being paid. And if they are going to work, they're going to work on the basis that they're not going to get any money for a while. So it will have consequences, there's no doubt about that.
And how will be this freezes on infrastructure funding by the White House affects ongoing projects, particularly in Democratic-run states?
Well, it depends, Asma, whether or not these projects can survive without funding. A lot will say that the funding problem will be solved, and therefore, to that extent, we need to ensure that something happens. But I think in the end of the day, this is, in a sense, bluff, because he can't use this as an opportunity to dismiss people, or he might try, because jobs still need to be done. And they need to be done in those states that are being affected. So yes, there will be a big short-term problem. Long-term, there will be reputational damage. But at the end of the day, it will be funded, because that's what happens always when you have these kinds of standoffs between parties in Congress.
Right. Thank you very much, Keith, for joining us and sharing that insight. From London, now we move on back to Asia. Sanai Takaichi's victory as Japan's first female prime minister has surprised many political observers. Commentators say her win reflects public sentiment and strong support from rank-and-file LDP members, while also highlighting the influence of former Prime Minister Taro Aso. Economists expect her expansionary fiscal policies to boost high-growth sectors and support stock markets, while making it more difficult for the Bank of Japan to raise interest rates. Strategists also note a potential short-term yen depreciation and market gains due to expectations of growth and focused policies. Political commentators say her leadership is likely to unite the LDP, win back conservative support, and signal Japan's commitment to foreign policy alignment with the US, while cautiously navigating tensions with China and regional neighbors. Let's listen in to what Tokyo residents have said.
立候補されてた中では高市さん気になってはいました。っていう理由はやっぱり女性初めてだと思うので、これから頑張ってほしいです。イメージでなんですけど、やっぱり政治とかすごい自民党なんかお金 とかなんかいろいろ嫌なニュースがたくさんあった中で、しかも女性っていうところでなんか新しい風みたいなものを感じます。
そうですね、アジア関係がちょっと心配ではありますけれど、そこはまあうまくやっていけるんじゃないかと期待はしてます。
女性が選ばれたっていうことでなんかポジティブに捉えられるのかなって、日本がちゃんと変わってきてるっていうのが伝わるのかなって。
Now we move on to Europe. Bulgaria has received its third and fourth F-16 Block 70 fighter jets as part of a 2019 deal aimed at modernizing its air force and phasing out its aging fleet of Russian MiG-29 aircraft. The deliveries followed the arrival of the first two jets earlier this year in April and June at Graf Ignativo Air Base. Bulgaria is set to receive all 8 aircrafts from the initial batch by the end of 2025, with the second batch of 8 slated for delivery by 2027. The European Union and NATO member country is seeking to replace its aging Russian MiG-29 fighter jets and improve its compliance to NATO standards. The delivery of fighter jets coincides with heightened regional security concerns following NATO's September announcement to reinforce Europe's eastern flank after Poland intercepted drones that violated its airspace during Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. Now we move on. Tech giant Apple has removed IceBlock and other similar ice tracking apps from its App Store after it was contacted by President Donald Trump's administration in a rare instance of apps being taken down due to a U.S. federal government demand. Alphabet's Google has also removed similar apps on the Justice Department before taking the action. The app alerts users to immigration and customs enforcement agents in their area, which the Justice Department says could increase the risk of assault on U.S. agents. ICE has been a central part of President Trump's hardline immigration agenda. Its agents have regularly raided and arrested migrants, and rights advocates say free speech and due process are often being infringed in the government's deportation drive. Apple's action may increase scrutiny of tech firms' growing ties to the Trump administration. Many companies, including the iPhone maker, have sought to avoid clashes with the White House that has not been shy about issuing threats, particularly around tariffs against specific firms. This is all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more news updates from around the world.